Ta-da! Hey, everybody. Hey, Kelly, Joanne, Pauline, Danny. Well, nice to see you, Danny. It's nice to see you back. You belong. Ruth, Luigi, ciao. Ruth, shalom. Hi, Lynn. Oh, we got a crowd on board. Hey, Annie, Pam, how's it going at home? Concats, nice. Hey, Lori, Diana, T and J. I'm hanging out here. Morning, Helen. Good afternoon. It's snowing. Nice. It's not snowing here. Hi, Adrian from Boston. Oh, hi there. Yeah, Mary Beth. It's good to see you. Casey. Where's Finn? Well, Finn is actually still finishing a late lunch, and he's with Garima. But don't worry. Don't worry. I have one of our heroes with us. Hi, Mark. Yeah. Hey, Sarah. Maria, hola. So Mark is here. We're having too much fun on Adam Shaw. That's right. That's right. So we're having too much fun. We've actually been out touring. We had a fancy dinner last night. Thanks to all of you. And then we well, actually, it was a pretty early night, to be fair. Good morning, Amber. Nice, yeah, morning in Vancouver. Hi, Tassos. But we went out to Ostend, so we went out to the beach.
It was amazing. It was amazing. It was grey and it was raining and it was very representative for Finn. A good typical day in Ostend.
C'est bien. Mais on est là ce soir à Bruxelles, quand même. Well, if it keeps snowing, we're not home till the 10th, but I'll be ready to meet Peter. Hey. See? Good Dutch spelling.
Yeah.
I've met Peter. Hi, everybody. So we are, it's going to be a fun tour. Now, total, absolutely, hand on heart, I haven't been back here for 13 years. We have had, we had one beer. I'm driving. So this guy's on like 6 or 7, I think. Finn's college fun. That's right. I see 8. Yeah, we just tried, but we had the small version of the local beer. But honestly, when I'm driving, obviously that's, it's in little bottles. We have to be so careful with beer here because, of course, there's 3,000 types of beer, but some of them are 11, 12%. That's true. Hey, Robert, good to see you, buddy. You haven't? No, Amber. I bet you haven't. So we've had terrible flooding. And Newfoundland as well. I guess Porto Basque. Paula, we are in Europe.
We're in the Benelux.
We'll tell you. I think the map comes up when we come on time. So.
Oh, is it not up yet?
I don't think it comes up. Oh, Paula, we got to have enough. Oh, map is up, Aaron? All right. Well, we're in Bruges. We are in what is one of the most beautiful cities, frankly, in Europe. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And very truly, and I want to say hand on heart, I mean, I do not know, and nor does Mark knows the architecture better than I do.
But I know the beer.
He knows the beer. But John, hey, is that John up there? Andrea, good to see you. Guten Tag. Guten Tag. Yeah, we had to come out here. So Finn elected that we all go to Ostend first. And so for all of you over in the UK, we ran on the beach and we waved to you. We waved across the English Channel. And it looked sunny on your side. It was raining on us. And we said it was a nice summer's day. Hi, sorry. So we did. We waved over there and then we came in here and we were having a fun time. But lunch was super slow, unfortunately. Yeah. So, but it's just nice. And so honestly, unlike a lot of the tours that I do and Mark does with a lot of meat to it, really, we're going to take you for a walk and talk about
sightseeing.
It's more, honestly, it's more of a sightseeing visit because this place is so famous, so beautiful. The last time Finn was here, he was 2.5 years old. Well, we're on time, ladies and gentlemen. So in case magically you've never met us before, first of all, this is my friend Mark.
Ta-da! The Amsterdam tour, one of the Amsterdam tour guides.
Yeah, one of the outstanding Dutch Amsterdam tour guides. And my name is Patrick Toomey. If by chance, that's at least, that's good. If by chance you haven't met me before, I live a long way from here. So I would drive for 1.5 hours to Brussels Airport, probably 2 because it's the other side of the city. And then I would fly probably to Montreal and then to Calgary and drive to get home to the snow. So I live in the Canadian Rockies. If you're unaware, my son Finn, who is also a guide on the platform. Yeah, Marlene. No, Marlene, I'm almost closest to you in Canada at the moment. But my son Finn has been on exchange here, so that's how he came over to to see him in Bastogne, and then we came up to meet Mark, and we met Lee last night, but she had to go home. And Mark's partner Eric too. And so we've been out sightseeing today, and then tomorrow we're flying away. So
basically, Patrick and I can go and tear apart Brussels tonight.
Yeah, we're gonna stay up till nearly 10 tonight. It's gonna be a big night out.
Yeah, I might have 3 beers.
Yeah, but tomorrow morning we are flying down to Istanbul. I did all the paperwork today and discovered that I needed a visa, so I spent another $200 on that this morning. All that noted, we are in Bruges, and Bruges is widely considered one of the most beautiful historic cities in the whole wide world for all sorts of reasons. And I'm happy to talk about the big, broad history. It is a canal city. It is one of the few that are considered the Venices of the North. Of course, Amsterdam, St. Petersburg, even Colmar in France. They're all the different names. It is as beautiful as it sounds. Again, it's been 12 years since I've been here, but this is one of the things I studied. Now, obviously, I'm a historian by background, and there's a lot to talk about and a lot to show you. But we want to talk about the Golden Age and the Northern Renaissance, if you're familiar with these terms. Jane would love to go to Bali, right? Anna Marie. So we talk about the Renaissance. Of course, it depends which date you want to pick. But the florin, the first gold minted coin of the post-Roman age. Now, the Roman Empire, I don't know, Paula, if you've read the book yet about how the Irish saved civilization, but Rome stretched all the way up to here, all the way up to Denmark, of course, really the Scottish borders. And then as the Roman Empire imploded because of mismanagement, a slave-based economy, and taxing the middle class out of existence, gradually their control over the areas broke down, and that led into that feudal period, which, if you're into history, of course, is an important thing. Gradually emerging from that period, starting in northern Italy, Genoa as a trading place and Florence as a trading place, we start to see the rise of a modern economy, and then it shifts north, but it shifts north to here, and that's why this is important. No problem at all. But I keep forgetting, hi Faith, bonjour. I keep forgetting, sorry, before we carry on, happy Thanksgiving to all our American friends. So it's American Thanksgiving, Turkey Killing Day. But we're giving thanks for all of you. We had our Thanksgiving a while ago. Mary Beth, if I were in Houston, I promise you I'd be having Thanksgiving with you. But we did actually know I wasn't even going to put on a tour today, but a few Americans wrote to me and said they'll be home. And then I dragged Mark into it because, you don't always get to meet a guy like Mark here. So happy Thanksgiving. So just coming back to our history. So the placement of Bruges, thanks to, now this used to be on the coast. It isn't on the coast anymore. It's about 12 or 15 kilometers out to Zeebrugge, or Bruges by the sea. And it's silted up. But there was a golden period of about 300 years here where this particular place of Bruges sat at a line between the southern coastal trade routes. Remember, we're pre-Reformation, right? The Reformation doesn't come out to the 1500s, so you're not talking about the Protestant Catholic wars. It was much previous to that. There was this French Empire, and then around it, all these fiefdoms everywhere to the south and to the west, and then up to the north, there was the Hanseatic League. And the Hanseatic League is what eventually gave rise to a lot of the wealth in Amsterdam, while leading to the Dutch East India Company. But if you followed all the way around to Estonia, Tallinn, even not St. Petersburg, because it didn't really exist, but that was that great trading route. Why did they come and converge here? Well, this was a point looking across to Britain, which of course was deeply tied to the Viking period. So the Romans were here, but this was really not a Roman settlement. It was fortified against the Viking incursions. By fortifying it, trade resumed with Britain. So it's actually at that time, this trifecta of the northern trade routes coming into the channel, English Channel, which we were running along today, and I'm sure Garima will put up a picture somewhere. There she is. Hey, Garima. And then to the south routes all the way down to the Basque Country, Portugal, and then over to Britain. And so this was the nexus of Renaissance trade. Now, what did they trade? Lace, bit of food. There wasn't a lot to trade, really. Spices gradually as they come into it. That's all right, Lorraine. This is all the kind of history. But why this place matters to me. Now, I've told you many, many times that my father was a classical composer. He came to Canada as a music teacher. But then when he was tired of being sort of poor, and fighting with students and so forth. My dad went off and got a banking degree and actually was a broker for a number of years. Believe it or not, I did, thanks Andrea, a master's in finance, and I did actually work as an economist for nearly 2 years, and I realized that was an awful thing to do. But I mention all of that little bit of history because of this pub right there. That, ladies and gentlemen, and my pronunciation is atrocious in Flemish. Oh, by the way, Bruges was the capital of Flanders, but that house right there was the Huis ter Beurs. And if you know the term, the Bourse, or stock exchange. So this was the world's very first stock exchange, right there in the corner. Sorry, and this is a much more modern bus. The building with the pointed top right in front of us there, Donna. So there's... That's a Mark bus. That's great. So you're welcome. But it really is an amazing bit of history when we think about it. So there were debts correlated, brought together in Genoa by trading. Then there was debt was sold on a bridge in Paris. They spent a lot of time trying to resist debt. But here was the first place where people came together to hold shares in trade. And you might be aware of some of this modern technology or terminology that still exists. Free on board. Free on board is a jump mark. But free on board is that if you're shipping goods across the world, it's a shared debt. You're losing audio, Diana? I don't want to. Yeah, we'll walk a little. I don't want to put in headphones if I don't need to.
Yeah.
But okay. So it could just be on your end. So yeah, we're going to start to wander in.
So yeah, let's just carry on with because they were sharing, the merchants were getting together here, and then they were sharing risk. And that was a really important, moving forward, the idea of having shares in something. And it was indeed the first stock market, but they were trading in commodities.
Lynn, we're in Bruges.
In Amsterdam, of course, Amsterdam people often say it was the first stock market. It wasn't, but it was the first stock market that traded shares in a publicly owned company. So that was the Dutch East Indies Company. And that was funded by selling shares directly to the public. Of course, people wanted to sell and buy those shares. So in Amsterdam in 1611, so centuries later, you got the first, that's when there was the birthplace of modern capitalism.
Well, and the longest traded real estate continuously in the world in Amsterdam, they say. This place wasn't really destroyed for a long time. I just wanted to show, I'm not going to be able to get it all in.
It says, I'll say it.
Yeah.
It's the Koninklijke Stad Schouwburg, which means the Royal City Theatre.
So it is gorgeous. The flag of Flanders, the flag of the city, and of course the flag of Belgium. So a lovely theatre. But we're on it, and honestly, through this walk, you are going to see some of the most picturesque architecture in Western Europe. Now, this land is extremely flat. Finn was thrilled to discover that we're 14 meters above sea level here, so we're not drowning. But Mark was mentioning the Dutch East India Company, and I've mentioned it before, but if you take the top 10 most valuable companies on planet Earth today, if you take the money of the Dutch East India Company into modern times, it's still the most valuable company of all time. And isn't it remarkable? Even in Western Canada, of course, where I'm from, all of that belonged to the Hudson's Bay Company. So the wealth was incredible. Now, that's not this. This really predates it. This is the early Renaissance in Bruges. Yep. But this incredible architecture, and you will recognize it, of course. Now, we're in Flanders, right? So that obviously it is one of the Flemish is related to Dutch. I mean, so much so that they understand each other just fine. But it is a different dialect. I speak virtually none of it. Finn has been having fun learning some Dutch words, and his pronunciation is quite good. So that's been really fun, and it's been fun having Mark here because we almost figured out the parking machine, and then Mark had to read it for us. But people here are very multilingual. So over in Wallonia, in the French-speaking part of Belgium, they're really quite monolingual. But here it is multilingual. But let's just come back to the city. So there's a mix of two periods architecturally here. Basically from the 12th century. Amber, he was just trying to learn some Dutch as he was going along, but obviously he was living in the French part of the country, right down in the heart of the French part of Wallonia, and had a good time. But here, The older fancy architecture that we see was that wealth that built up from the 12th to the 15th century. It was interesting is because this was directly accessible to the sea. It isn't anymore. In fact, it silted up in the early days and a storm opened it up again. But this was a protected trade route, a walled city, and it still is walled, and the gates around the canals are fantastic. Of course, canals were all part of travel. In fact, when we get up, and I don't know if you're familiar with some of this history, but the Industrial Revolution in the UK, which obviously wasn't the UK at that time, but England, happens a little bit after the real Viking period. You have the Viking period, and then suddenly what happens in Europe are a series of, good morning, Kathy, happy Thanksgiving. Then, of course, the Black Plague. Now, Finn actually took us to a plague graveyard on his first tour in Belgium. And what's interesting about that is that spurred a demand for goods. Interestingly enough, and this is before we get into the fabulous architecture here, it is an incredible bit of history, and it's quite a heavy one. But when the plague hit, roughly a third of the population of Europe died. Now, happy subject today. But when you imagine suddenly everyone around you starts dying, and you die painfully and quickly, people suddenly, for the first time, started inheriting. Now, why do people have so many different accents in all these regions? 94% of people never lived further than 7 miles, 10 kilometers from their home. You live in these tiny little areas. Everyone starts dying. Eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow you may die. And so they start consuming and demanding goods. There wasn't a lot to get your hands on, but it demanded trade. This city was booming during that period as the center of trade. And they had wealth to spend. It was good and Catholic, right? We're pre-Reformation. What do you spend it on? Well, not much, because you didn't have much to spend it on. So lace was one of the things they were trading. Some spices, of course, it wasn't the full spice trade. And, of course, architecture. Now, have a look at that. So there's the belfry, the bell tower.
We're talking about this over here.
But the belfry tower is the tallest. No, it's the second tallest tower, actually, because there's up on the church they have the tallest tower. It is an incredible building. They did keep the materials in there, the lace in there, and all the materials. There it is.
I try, Beverly, I try.
Just listening to the bells for a second here.
But, there's a thing... It is.
Let's move on. Just trying to get... Actually, I'm going to do one Adam shot for everyone. Hang on to your seats as best you can, because we're going to tip you up. Great. Ta-da! Now, take a photo. I think everyone's learned so well to do this now. Take a screenshot, and you can flip it over. Or a postcard. Ready? We're going to come back. All right. So it is a remarkable building. Sorry.
So, there are a couple of things I find interesting about Bruges, because it was one of the Hansa cities. So it was the city of the Hanseatic League, and Amsterdam wasn't. So the Hansa League was like a trading cartel that dominated trade in northwestern Europe and the Baltic. I think right from sort of 1200s, around about there is when it was peaking. And Amsterdam could have joined, but they didn't. They went their own way.
If you've been to Tallinn in Estonia, that was the main trading port up at the far end. But it's interesting that Amsterdam...
Yeah, so like the Hansa League was doing so well. Bruges was doing so well on the back of that. And then, of course, you got the Reformation, you got the 80 Years' War, and you got Amsterdam just being so well positioned to take off when the Hansa was in decline. So, I love the way these places are so connected in so many different ways.
Well, it was, and it was all coastal trade, of course, because remember, it's even the stories I talk about in Canada all the time when you understand the history.
Yeah.
First by boat, then by train, then by car, and then by plane. And, of course, it was canals. Well, this is very, very, very flat land. Yet Denmark was in the league, Guyana. Yep, absolutely. But it's very, very flat land. And it's so interesting. Wallonia is hilly. And so Wallonia, of course, when we were in Maastricht, which isn't obviously Wallonia, but and down in Luxembourg, you're along all the rivers, natural connections. Here they were able to build these gentle canals. Finland was just finishing lunch with Garima, actually. Lunch went a little long, and they're watching along. And Garima, if you know where you are, you guys can always come say hi. Now, this is, of course, just changing subject. Hey, Therese. Just changing subject for a minute, but they're getting ready for Christmas here. And in fact, if we go the other side, we maybe get away from the noise a little bit. Now, there's this wonderful statue up here, Mark.
Yeah, these were two guys who were freedom fighters. You know, obviously, you know that Europe has spent a lot of time fighting itself. And here there were often wars against the French. And we're going back well into, I think, the 1300s now. But these two guys were freedom fighters then. And they were the subject of a story. And then this statue was only put here in the 1880s because this was the age of Romanticism, and people looked at these old stories and they identified with them and they loved the chivalry of it and that type of thing. So they put these statues up. So it's funny that they're about characters from the 1300s, yet they were only put here in the 1800s. It kind of seems weird, but quite charming.
It is quite charming.
It gives you a real sense that coming from South Africa, you know, the history just goes back a couple of hundred years for as far as white history goes.
As European history.
Yes.
All right, we'll do one Adam shot up here on the bell tower. You ready for this? Okay, hang on to your seats. Ta-da! Oh boy, look at that. But yes, that 19th century revival, of course, Belgium declares independence in 1830 from the Netherlands, which had all declared. Yeah, you did hear a horse. Yep. That's oddly enough, we didn't have one for lunch. Now take a photo, and now we're going to head back here. There we are. Now, by the way, we are going to finish on time today, very much so, because I believe Sean, who's a friend of mine down in Galicia, is doing a tour as well. And we just wedged this in because people had asked for one. Where would you like to go? Should we wander once around?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we're just going to... Now, obviously, they're just getting ready for the Christmas markets here. So it's not quite up and open. Isn't it nice, Helen? And then you have all these trees. Of course, when I go home, I'll cut down my own tree. No, Natty. Oh, people do eat horse meat, yes. But it's actually rabbit is very common on the menus here in Flanders. And one of the things, Finn's had a wonderful time hearing about the gross generalizations they all make about each other. And in Wallonia, they say it's crazy. They eat rabbit up here. And then apparently these people up here say they eat too much beef in Wallonia. That's a fun one. But I did have moule frite last night. And in fact, Mark here had moule frite for lunch, you know, the mussels, which are famous. And we are right by the coast, so they can't get much fresher. No, and if Mark runs off, it turns out they weren't fresh. Now have a look, though, at this fabulous... Oh, Paul, it was delicious, yeah. But just it's so funny. So Finn doesn't drink at all.
Not yet.
No, not yet. Well, no, he had a non-alcoholic beer, but there's Jupiler, which you see everywhere in Belgium, and signs are everywhere. He thinks it smells like urine. I'm quite happy for him to think of booze that way. But I think we need to head over to some canals. But we're just starting. This is the main market square. Oh, the architecture, Linda, is just fantastic. Now, very, very flat. And again, the coastline is moving all the time. We're right on the English Channel. And a very important part of it. In fact, one of the things I toyed with today was actually going down to Dunkirk. Partly because we can understand everyone there because they speak French. But
I'm so much happier here.
But no, in real terms, we wanted to come here, of course, but we're just down the way. I just have to give you a sun shot for a second for the fun of it. Just have a shot down. Now, the city itself is both, and if you scan out on the map, yeah, they do. It's true. But if you scan out on the map, you'll see that there are canals, i.e. moats, around the city here, and then there are the city walls. There's so many wonderful entrances here. I should get. Yeah. Oh, we will, Diana. Yeah. I should be able to come in and hold reception in here. We have some very very noisy gulls. And of course, famously up at the main cathedral is the one Michelangelo that is actually outside of Italy. And that's how important, it's testament to how important the trade was here. Thanks, Deanna. So let me come in here. I don't want to make too much noise, but I'll just show you the Belfry Hall. Now, this is, of course, UNESCO World Heritage Site here. So 13th century halls buildings. And there it is, the Flemish cloth we were talking about again at the beginning. So well worth it. You know, I'm going to try and come in a little further. But it is just remarkable architecture. And of course, these would be rooms for spotting fires. Yeah, I would love to do an echo roof, but there were so many people around. I just don't want to be too rude. There's a Mark, though. Mark's enjoying this place. The gulls are following us. They always are. Yeah, we can get it from the back. The light is fantastic. I may have to lie down now.
Patrick,
All right.
we might have to go up that belfry. I've never been up because there's always been such a big line of people here.
True. Okay, everyone hang on because we're going to do another Adam shot. Hang on. Ta-da! Look at that. Wowee. That is, yeah. I don't think we'll go up with the camera. We'll make everybody dizzy or anything. So
Oh, no, I don't think it'll take too long. There's
afterwards,
366 steps.
Oh, are you ready for that? Okay, hang on, everyone. Are you ready for this? There's
366 steps. So that means you have to
leap up. No, if you need help, we spent lunch practicing that. Should we?
Very good.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
We're gonna
try and get lost.
It was when we first came into town. We actually didn't have access to this. So, come on, Beverly. That was brilliant, and I blame that one entirely on Mark. So we were telling stories at lunch where hey Michelle, where Finn used to sit around with my brother and my dad, and he'd say to everyone, you all have to say a joke. It was a bit better than usual. Oh, Beverly. Oh, I think we're going echo.
Oh.
Now chocolate, and again, oh great. Now eventually, where we're going to finish our tour today, very specifically, is where the car is parked because we paid for parking till 6 minutes after the tour ends.
You know, that house looks like it's from 1579.
Yeah,
to me.
I can tell it's a 1579 house because of the brickwork.
You know, also because of the change in 1580, you can really get that threshold between.
There was the 1580 is suddenly where they started bringing in internet. As I say, we don't claim to be experts on all the architecture here, but it's just such a treat to share it with everyone. Sorry, just letting some pedestrians by. Actually, it's even worth one last view down the back to the square. Look at this behind us.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that just gorgeous?
Lovely.
It really is. So now, obviously, Mark is doing, and I'll be gone, unfortunately. Mark is doing this first light show, Christmas market tomorrow night, and we had so much fun out on the square. And I have to say, that kid of mine, after doing the tour with all of you yesterday, was really kind of bouncing around, and he did not want to go back to the hotel. So we were having great fun. Now, we have limestone all through here, and Helen, I can go on and on about limestone if you want me to. But the coast, of course, is very gentle, right up from that delta formation up at the top of the Netherlands, from all of the big, from the Rhine and the Meuse, or the Maas River. But along this coastline, of course, you have the White Cliffs of Dover, as we all know, on the far side. This lovely chocolate here. And now, can you read that stuff up there?
It's difficult. This house is Den Zandberg genannt. It sounds like this house is called Sand Mountain is what it says to me.
Sand Mountain. Well, that makes sense because these,
If it's made out of sand.
Yeah,
well,
no, it's not sand. Yeah, it's bricks. It's not sandstone.
They do have the strip course.
Yeah, the strip course would be the sand then.
I always call those bacon courses. We call it up north, we call it Dutch Renaissance, but of course here they call it Flemish Renaissance. Okay.
It's Flemish Renaissance. Yeah. Well, and this is the northern birth of the Renaissance. A couple of questions. Kelly, this is not flatter than the Netherlands. It's just part of that contiguous coastline. And we are above sea level, not below it here. So that's a big difference, right? Now, barely, but we are above it. And then Mark's going to come over to Banff, honestly, whenever he wants. He'd hack the cold. And honestly, and if you ask Finn, we're colder here than we are at home. Because just at home, everything's made for it.
Finn is walking around in a T-shirt.
Yeah, Finn was walking around in a T-shirt. And we ran on the beach. It's damp. And of course, if you imagine it, and I like to take myself back through history as much as possible. Look at these fabulous streets. I mean, it's just, the whole thing is worth exploring. This is a place, say, when we lived in Paris, we would come up here, but always rent a car because it's so easy. The other place I would love to take you on a tour, if I could, would be to Ypres. And that's, of course, Flanders Fields, where poppies blow between the crosses row and row. So that's a lot of World War I history, like Passchendaele. But I know Mark would do just fine, honestly, over in Banff. And then look at this. And this is great. Good. We can take you through here. Don't run over, Mark.
Yes, Daddy.
The paperwork is terrible. There, Mark's running across. But here we go. Now, I was just about to share my amazement at some blue sky. It was raining quite heavily when we were driving out here. Look at this lovely integrated wood architecture through here. And say, most places that we give tours, I know every step of this, but it's just such a treat to share this with everyone. Now, here is part of this whole canal, i.e. moat system. So we told Garima we were going to hold her by the feet and get her to catch a fish. But it turns out she's vegetarian, so she was going to let it go anyway.
Of course, we fully intended to bring you to this beautiful corner.
They're fully planned. But have a look down here. Oh, there's a swan too, isn't there? Oh, this is wonderful. So again, 1200s to 1500s is the real boom. Then it silts up, trade shifts away. And eventually, of course, there were, attack after attack by the French, particularly in the 15th century. And then once again, in the broadening of the wars, this was the capital of Flanders during Flanders' fairly short-lived independent period. Storms goes into silted. Honestly, Diana, it silted up also with time. Now look at that.
There's also, by the way, the Dutch also caused a bit of upset here because there was the 80 Years' War from 1568 to 1648, and Bruges really relied on its connection to Antwerp. Because Antwerp is a very important trading city. And what the Dutch rebels did is that they sunk ships in the Schelde River that led up to Antwerp. So Antwerp's trade collapsed. And with it, also Bruges' trade was really damaged. And so many people, so you got Flemish Protestants and Sephardic Jewish refugees from Antwerp fleeing up to Amsterdam. And that was really one of the big triggers of Amsterdam's golden age was the fall of Antwerp and Bruges.
And Bruges remained very Catholic, of course, which is why these lucky Belgians liberated themselves from Dutch oppression after 15 years of independence. So it's,
now.
the two nutters here. That seems fair.
You know, when it's raining and sunny in South Africa, we call it a monkey's wedding.
And
I know in Brazil, I think they call it a lion's wedding.
And Finn and I when we were running out on the beach, it was raining, and then a tiny bit of sun came out. Oh, goodness me. You can't believe it, everyone.
You guys didn't see us.
No, we didn't see you. I thought you were actually just being one of those aggressive people. All right. Well, we're just going to hand the gimbal over to Garima here, who is going to tell you a whole lot more about the early foundation system that was built under the city.
I don't know.
How was Hey, Annie's saying hi to you guys. Yeah, so that is the Finn to me, who we did kind of abandon with the food.
How dare they?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, our food was really late. But all that said, it's interesting. This is the first city, really, where I felt the presence of what feels like fairly normal tourism. Yep. Finn Toomey has just told me that I have to... Yeah, they do have a tracker on the phone. It's called Hago. Now... Here is a fabulous postcard here. And again, it's as I was just saying when we were just interrupted by these youthful people. But this always remained Catholic, which of course is really defined. If there were a definition between Flanders and
Netherlands.
Flanders and the Netherlands, it's a pretty easy line to draw, with Maastricht being the only exception to that. So
yeah, because statues like this would have been torn down in the northern Netherlands by angry Protestants. So you just don't get this type of religious statue around and saints on the buildings, which is actually one of the huge differences. Like Antwerp, Bruges, anything, Brussels, all these statues of saints everywhere.
It is incredible. Now Pam's asking, Lynn, they love your beret. It's because she lives in France. Look, so Pam, were there cars in the water? I'm sorry, I don't understand the question. I'm sure some have driven in over time, but they drink very strong beer here, so might have to do
high walls.
Yeah. They do have high walls, and in fact, I can try and show you one of the old signs on the corner over here. Let me just try and sneak out and show you this. Gives you a sense of this golden age period, although this would have been the gradual decline of what was the golden age right here. So 1578 to 84. That's about the time that trade was shifting away from Bruges due to the silting and moving out towards the coast. And then another whole wave of macro politics here. in the north and the west of Europe. But let's keep walking and enjoying some of this incredible environment. It is just such a lovely city. It's officially about 120,000 people, a greater economic area of about 250,000, but 20,000 people actually live here in the old protected town. And I think one of the reasons, well, everyone loves Bruges anyway, so it's a bit noisy with a vehicle here, but they're setting up, more chocolatiers. But part of the significance of it is there's always a busy pedestrian life every time I've been here, which again is probably 6 times in my life. But Finn's helping me along away from the noisy vehicle. Finn, what's your favorite thing about Bruges so far?
The atmosphere, I'd say. It's a very, very interesting atmosphere in between tourism and people getting on with it.
Sorry, a car coming up behind us. Now, Finn has, of course, deep memories of here from when he was young, because he was here when he was 2.5 previously. But look at this. Sorry, I just want to share some of this fabulous. No, you didn't, Finn. You didn't come here on your exchange, did you? No.
Hey guys,
No, that's why. That's part of the reason, actually, we did come up here. Finn really, really said to us emphatically. By the way, I want to show you the tallest tower in town, and it's up there at the church. Church of Our Lady, of course. It is gorgeous, Helen. And that is where the Michelangelo is. Hello? Finn's being silly, everyone. He's just had food. But that's the tallest tower in the city. Oh, I see. Yeah, I think the chat's just coming a little slowly. And this is what it looks like when Garima's taking photos with people. Let's carry on. But about 20,000 people living right in the old town, and they interact with it. I feel very much that way about beautiful Quebec City as well, where people are actually time. Paula, we don't, because we don't think we can get in at the moment. It's, well, frankly, tickets. So we're actually going to go the other way, but you can certainly Google it. And it is the thanks. The statue that was in the front of the clock tower that I showed you looks very similar. I think that might be a little too busy to go down there, but one more view now of the belfry up in the distance here. The lighting,
I
well,
wonder if they have bats up there.
I'm sure they do. Yeah.
You know how to the bats in the belfry?
Yeah.
Okay.
But what do you think? Do you want to go down the busy street, or shall we carry down the? Shall we take everyone? We're going to take you into a busy street for a moment, but we're just going to be kind of quiet, so we're not. It's truly. So we're just not going to be too noisy for a second. And the light is just so good. We're taking photos ourselves. So let me just. I'm just going to get past this group here without saying anything for a minute, everyone. There we go. Oh, it's just gorgeous, Jen, isn't it? Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, we've actually spoken, I spoke Spanish with some people who are from South America who are here and have made it here on holiday. Oh, there's a cruise ship in. Okay. Do you see the person holding a sign in the distance? The number 8? That means it's a cruise ship. And the cruise ship would have come in at Bruges, I guess. Because we didn't see one. The other side, Garima's trying to get. So all that Mark's been doing is taking his reflective photos. If you haven't followed Mark on his Instagram, he gets that damn guide. But he has these wonderful reflective photos that he shows around. But yeah, these are cruise ships. There's a cruise ship in Bruges, clearly. Oh, wow. That's why there's so many tourists here today. Oh, thanks, Mitzi.
I can't wait for the cruise ships to come back to Amsterdam.
Oh, we've been waiting for the cruise ships to come back to Banff, and they just don't seem to make it. It's gotten in the way for us. But it must be the river's freezing up.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe something you said.
It might have been something you said. Now come out here to the square. We're going to come back down to the canal. We had picked about 4 different routes we wanted to take you walking today. But the only thing I insisted was starting with the stock market because, of course, it's such relevant history to the world. In many ways, as we were talking about at the beginning, so many chocolate shops, and usually lace. But again, in that, the very end of that golden age, right up here, 1608. But we need to show you this archway up ahead. because it is just that spectacular that we sort of have to do it. And I'm wondering, isn't it a while? Yeah. So this is yeah. Oh, sorry, I meant to turn around for 1 second because I want to show. Now there's artisans out here with art, but this is the traditional fish market out here, and they're not selling any fish today at all. But let us bring you up to this spectacular art here.
Add them this one.
Yeah, but we are going to have
What I'd like to do, actually, if you guys can just bear with me, I want to take the phone out of the gimbal and I want to give you a puddle shot.
Can you do one here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so
All right.
it's going to go all over the place.
Okay, this is marked. Oh. There we are.
Okay.
Sorry, everyone.
Okay.
No, it's on
Okay,
this side.
it's on that side. You ready? Okay, tell me when you're done. Hey, we got a Patrick. So we got a Finn as well. Okay.
Now it does. I'm sorry if it turns off. Yeah. Sorry, everyone. All right. There we go. We managed to get you back into the gimbal. Sorry, I'm going to have to reset the gimbal now. Hold on 1 sec, everyone. Very sorry. It is stunning, but it's going to go really wonky on us for a moment here, so just bear with me. You are being reset. Come on. There. I hope you didn't fall off your seat. Yeah. Oh, not yet. They're doing an Adam shot. Yep. So take a picture there. All right. Now, hang on to your seats, everyone. We're going to switch back. Hang on tight. There we are. Perfect. So, do you know, guys, I think we'll go down this way because we'll walk away from the whole cruise ship crowd there. Partly because there are local guides giving live tours. And you'll see people have red things hanging around their necks. I sometimes use these whispers. And so you can talk to people in their ears as you're walking along. It's really a good system. Yeah, so we can wander down a little further. Wasn't that a lovely photo? Yeah, it was worth it. Hopefully you didn't get sick as the camera was wiping around. But let's head down around the fish market. So we're watching the time closely because I don't think the phone's set quite as well now, but we'll just have to live with that, I think, for the moment. But Sean has a tour in Galicia, and we wanted to respect the time, so we wanted to squeeze this in. Well, I'm glad, Jenny. But it is remarkable. And again, you know, you're so close. This was all seawater once upon a time. Oh, Annie, Sean's a fabulous guy too. Now, have a look down here once again. So this is a classic. So the fish market's not actually that old. It's 19th century. But look at that architecture once again. It's just really a treat to see. And of course, when we look at a lot of this history through here, you know, the fact that this was really... oh, yeah, I get it. Oh, you're welcome, Amber. Isn't it fun? But have a look. Thanks, T&J. So this is where they clean the fish and sell them in public market, and they still do. And so it is, you know, the public, and again, the fish from the sea. And when you think of Belgian food, of course, moule frite, for example. Here's a sign for Vismarkt. Lynn, Bruges needs to be on everyone's list. It would be really fun. I know we've had the odd tour down here, but this is a place that really deserves tours. And I also like public drinking water, of course. And even if you remember Mannequin Piss last night, yeah, I don't think it's working at the moment, so that's why we're so thirsty. But Mannequin Piss last night, that was actually a water fountain, of course, public water.
For a long time.
Is for a long time, exactly right. When you climb back into history, we forget, and how we've forgotten how easy it has been to forget this sort of history of access to clean water. Yeah, there was some back in May, but it's a long time. And it's lovely, of course, to be here in the Christmas time. And look at the tree colors. Once you're in amongst the buildings, of course, the leaves are coming off a lot slower. Now, have you ever seen someone be pushed into a canal? Because there's a Finn doing. Oh, yeah, Jenny, drink the tap water. Absolutely. I drink the tap water militantly everywhere unless I'm told emphatically not to. I think drinking water is a human right. Also, I want to really emphatically not use disposable plastic, of course. One of the things Finn's been very impressed with here in Belgium is the fact that they recycle just about everything. So that's been a really good element of his experience here. But yeah, and I mean, I think where I live, of course, in the Canadian Rockies, we have some of the cleanest water in the world, and yet you still see people buying bottled water. So, you know, I know it's a simple little argument, but it is sort of an act of sustainability. I was talking a while ago with a French friend and saying that when you talk to sort of, well, what would have been my great-grandparents' generation, they virtually didn't have garbage. You know, you used everything. So that's what a teenager looks like walking away down the canal. Look at the light. Well, it's the fact that, you know, we try to have just one bag of garbage a month as a family. It's very hard to do in this day and age. But yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're just about, let's head up to the bridge here. We're just about out of time, and I say we don't want to overlap with our friends out there. This is actually a bridge over untroubled waters. I always remember the first time I ever hiked to Machu Picchu. I met up with 3 Dutch guys, and I've gone back and visited them. They live in Groningen, way in the far north of the Netherlands. You're welcome, Pauline. They live in the far north up there. And you see how beautiful it is? Like, there is Finn Toomey taking photos because he's just so in love with the place. But they had a great sense of humor, that really enjoyable sense of humor. And every time they saw the water coursing down near Machu Picchu, they said, "Oh no, uncontrolled water." That was one of my favorite Dutch jokes. Look at this, everyone. Have a little. Oh, Faith, merci beaucoup. Hein? Oh, absolutely. You know, but this is just, you know, driving around out here it's fine. I mean, the motorways are good and it's flat. Sure, Beverly. Where's Garima gone? Garima, Beverly wants a group photo. She wants one of you doing a handstand on the side of the bridge. And then flipping off into so,
I need some practice for that.
Why don't we back up, guys, for a group photo? Yep. Because the advantage to one here, Finn moonwalked back, but the advantage doing one here is we should hopefully show you. I can't, I'm holding the gimbal. See? So that's the 2 dads with our 2 kids. Looks like.
Oh, you could so easily be my daughter.
Absolutely, eh? Don't Karima and Finn look like brother and sister? Oh, that's good that he'll be back here, Mud. So isn't that lovely? Now let me just, I think this is a place that really deserves to be visited again and again because there's just so much to see here.
Yeah.
Now I'm just going to give you a view the other way around, everyone, because this too is fantastic. It's, sorry? Let's have a look at this. So, ladies and gentlemen, listen, just in the last minute or so left, I thought maybe, does anyone have any last minute questions for Finn about his time here in Belgium? I know Finn was saying last night, the chat went by so fast that he felt like he was missing so much. Hey, Andrew. Next time, Andrew, we're coming to stay with you in Germany. So, just
Absolutely.
So you know.
Thank you, Kelly. Very much appreciate that.
Great learning experience, and it's been really fun, of course. We had planned this meetup for, what will you miss the most, Finn?
I'm not sure how to put it.
Probably bread.
There's so many things that I'll miss about my experience. It's so much. There's so many different elements to it. I don't think I can pinpoint one, unfortunately. But I will definitely miss. I'm not sure. There's so many different elements about the entire experience that I'll miss so much that I'm not sure I can exactly pinpoint one. So,
I think I can answer for Finn. I think what I would offer and what Finn kept saying to us is the fact that you can see so much in short distances.
Yeah, that was one thing I was just thinking about. Everything is very close together. You're 5 hours from a whole other country, and well, not even, you're 30 minutes from other countries, but 5 hours from some of the best cities and their most known cities in the world. It's just so phenomenal to be so close to everything and be so close to.
So what's your excuse for not visiting Amsterdam then?
Yeah, and Finn was meant to go.
I was meant to go.
And Mark had got the double bike ready for him. And then Finn wasn't allowed with the program, so so
very, very sad. But next time that we are in Europe, Mark and I will go biking.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are over time. Please go say hi to Sean from all of us. We have to drive because we have to get Garima to a train. So here's your last view of Garima. Go on, give everyone a peace and love. There we are, everyone.
Peace and love. love everyone.
Thank you, everyone. It was fun playing. It was a treat to be here, and thank you, Mark, for all the information too. So, yeah, all the best, everyone. We'll just give you a little quiet time down here.
Quintessential quiet time.
Quintessential. It is perfect quiet time. Come on. Say hi to Galicia. Hasta luego. Abrazos.